All right. Hey, good morning, Mark.
Morning.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good, thank you. Yeah.
I didn't know if you were going to make it because it was getting late.
It's late?
Well, it's 8:44. I didn't know.
Oh. Yeah, we just had some technical issues, but I think we got them all resolved, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Are you all set?
Yeah.
I'm not sure who else is joining us today, but anyways, it's going to be a great class. I know,
I'm
Kirsten.
not worried, but it's good.
Thank you.
Sue's got COVID, and she's coming. Hello.
There's Mark. Yeah. Can you still hear me, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, it's time to get this party started. Sunday fun day. Nice.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Let's go.
Mark's ready. Anyone else that's going to join us, they'll be ready. So since we're all ready, let's come to the center of our mat. And today we're going to bring our feet in so that the ball of each big toe, maybe even our thighs, are kind of connected. I just want you to take a little look down and see if your feet have an orientation where the toes kind of angle outward. And if they do, I'd like you to kind of keep the toes together, but step the heels out so that the sides of the feet run parallel to your mat. I'm just checking me and I'm like, I think like I'm all set up. Now, what we're going to try to do is going to try to pull the kneecaps together. And that's simply going to activate those inner thigh muscles. And then as we do that, I'd like you to pull your belly button in towards your spine and then start to grow each and every vertebrae of the spine. And as you work up the spine, let's grab those shoulders and kind of lift them up to the sky. And then do the same thing with the head. And feel that nice connection. And try to, as best you can, to keep that interior or inner rotation of the kneecaps. Take the hands, open them face forward. And then make the arms nice and long without dropping the shoulders. So pull the shoulders up, arms nice and long, and then sweep back the hands. Nice. Now as you inhale, bring the hands up, shoulder height. Open them up nice and wide. Come back together. Flip the palms to the sky, and then lower and sweep back. Inhaling as we raise and open. Exhale. All the way through the rear part of the motion. Up, open. Together, lower, and hold back. Now, take the feet and try to take the ball of each big foot and turn it down onto the mat, and then take the baby toes up off the mat. So we have a big pressurization into the ball of each foot. And as you do that, let's draw the hips backwards. And then I want you to check in with the upper body, in particular the neck and head. If you feel like you're compressing, let's change that compression to decompression by finding length through the neck. Take the back of the head, pull it to the sky. Bring the hands up shoulder height. So our arms are raising. Open the palms, sorry, turn the palms to face, and then open nice and wide. Now imagine the fingers on each hand are pulling the arms away, almost out of the sockets, if you will, of the shoulder. Pull, pull, pull as you inhale. And as you exhale, fold down. Step back to plank. Let's drift the shoulders forward so that they're over the wrists. And let's hold on that for a second. And if you can, I want you to kind of check down on your elbows and make sure you're not locked out. So if your elbows have spiraled inward towards the midline of the body, we're going to just slightly rotate them. So they're a slight external rotation. Let's keep up on the toes, but lower the knees towards, not upon, towards the mat. And then straighten the legs and pull your hips backward and upward to down dog. And then float it back to your plank, keeping on the toes. Lower the knees towards the mat, then straighten the legs, and pull the hips backwards and then upwards to down dog. We have this movement now, drifting back to plank, lowering the knees, straightening the legs, backing up with the hips, and hold in down dog. Come up onto your tippy toes, and then drive the heels towards the earth, and do that again. And let's make 3 times our charm. Come back up, hold up on the tippy toes, drift your body back to plank, and then gently lower the knees down onto the mat and separate them the width of it. Bring the ball of each big toe together and the heel of each foot and drift the hips backwards. And as the hips drift back, let's walk the hands forward. So the arms have nice length. We have stabilization provided by each palm. And this should help facilitate a nice release of those back muscles that kind of interact with our shoulder blades. And then let's walk the hands back after we enjoy that nice stretch, keeping the hands the width of the mat. Let's take the fingers and then turn them in ever so slightly. So we've rotated the palms, kind of like a frog stance, if you will. If you've ever seen a frog sit. Now, let the hips drift back towards the heels. And then come back up onto your knees. And do that a couple more times, slowly. Explore the range of motion. For me, I know when I do this, it kind of gets my knees a little bit aggravated, but I've got bad knees. Can't speak for everybody. So I limit my range where it just feels comfortable. It's a nice length for some of our inner thigh muscles and our thighs. Let's hold up in the bullfrog position. Let's take the knees and try to lift them up off of your mat and then lower back down. And then do the same thing again. And on this last time, hold up, step your feet all the way back to plank, or sorry, to down dog. Pull your hips high to the sky. Drive the heels to the earth and then step both feet forward. Bring the feet to the sides of your mat. Sides of feet running parallel with the sides of the mat. Now, check in with those feet of yours. Where do you feel the weight bearing? Let's kind of play with this a little bit. Let's drift your body forward and then feel how the front part of the foot pressurizes. And then drift backwards. Keep drifting. Not toppling, just exploring weight bearing. And find a spot where the heel is mostly bearing the weight. And then shift between front and back. And now that we've got the feeling registering in the brain, I'd like you to try to find the balance between the front and the back. And when you get there, bend both knees. Walk the palms onto your shins. Keep that butt down, as far down as you can get it. I'm still warming up. So it's not mandatory to be down at its lowest point, but just relative to your warmness in the muscles, making that depth lower, and then take your elbows and sweep them away from the body. So they're going forward. Push the palms into your shins, extend the spine now, work on pulling with the back of the head, and then on the next breath in, stand up, sweep your arms up shoulder height. Palms face the sky. Bring the arms together in front, forearms and baby fingers making a connection. Serve up the platter, push it out and away from the body, and then pull with the elbows, and then kind of trace the size of your body, the rib cage, if you will, and draw the elbows all the way back, keeping those palms oriented towards the sky. And then serve it up again, connecting baby fingers and then forearms, and then extending out as far as you can. And then do that one more time. Sorry, do it again. Got a little bit ahead of myself. Extend back out. Just make it nice and slow. It's not a race here. It's just all about connecting muscle and warming it up. This is the last time through with this. Now, while you hold back, take the elbows and squeeze them together. And before we make the chest proud, I'd like you to pull your belly button in towards your spine, grow the spine, much like how we started, you know, that spine growing thing, decompressing it, and then squeeze the elbows behind you together. Feel that nice opening through the chest area and activation of muscle across the shoulders. And then let the hands just fall down, draw the shoulders up. Sweep the arms up shoulder height. Palms face the earth. Got a little bug flying on my face. Now rotate the thumbs towards the earth and then rotate them back to face each other, and then do that a couple more times. This is just internally rotating the arms and shoulder socket. Beautiful. Now draw the elbows back as far back as you can. Get that activation nice in the back. Keep it engaged, and then flip the forearms towards the sky like a field goal, but not really. And rotate down and rotate up and then back down. So now we're just practicing internal and external rotation, lowering back down. Extend the arms all the way out, directly up for the body. Use the fingers once again to pull everything nice and long. Flip the palms to the sky, sweep the hands up, and fold it all the way down. Walk it out to plank. Come down onto your forearms. This is our low plank. Now, internal rotation. That's when everything kind of shifts forward. So relative to our shoulders, a lot of times when we start to use the front muscles of the body, it tends to be more habits where we shift the arms or the shoulder sockets forward. So right now in our plank pose, although we've been holding it, I'm just trying to make some work for us. We're going to kind of shift those shoulder sockets a little bit backwards into place. Now, let the chest kind of fall through the arms. And that's that shift I was just talking about. The only way that your chest lowers is that those joints have rotated because we kind of asked them to do that. Now, lower the knees down onto the mat. Take this little bit of a break. Keep the chest sinking between the arms. And as you maintain that active sink, if you will, take the back of the head and lift it to the sky. Try not to let the shoulders sweep forward. Try to keep them in the same spot, just lifting the back of the head with the chest dropping towards the earth. Now keep that upper body activation and take the knees up off the earth. You're on your toes, of course, and then lower the knees back down and then raise them back up and then lower back down. Raise up and hold. Step your hands back, come into high plank. Pull up and back to down dog. Tippy toes, push. Heels drive earth. Tippy toes, push. Back with the heels. Up on the toes. Keep up on the toes. Lift the right leg, sweep it back, and lift it high to the air. Now, if you're displacing, like shifting onto the left, try to keep that hip and shoulder square to the earth. That's the right hip, that is. Now take the right foot, step it. Frame by your hands. if you can, or as best you can, try to be up on the toes of that left foot. As you inhale, extend the spine. And as you exhale, let the upper body just kind of fold down. Let front leg is bent, yeah. Take the right hand, walk it inside that right foot, and then let that left knee slowly drop to the floor, keeping the toes tucked under. Let's take the right knee and kind of shift forward. So we're bringing the upper body along with the knee forward. You should feel a nice release forming in that left hip. You have a lot of activation in the right hip. Those muscles are working hard to flex that joint, the hip socket, of course. And then let's drift the hips backwards. The body will follow. Come all the way back and almost straighten that front leg. Now, if you've rolled up under the heel, take the top of the toe, or sorry, of the foot, and try to rotate it down onto the mat. Get a nice lengthening in that shin muscle. And come back with the knee. It's funny how that body always follows. Of course, the only way it wouldn't is if there was some kind of dislocation, which is a bad thing, but we're not going to go there today. Now, as you inhale, lengthen the spine, walk the hands forward a little bit. And if your shoulders have kind of switched their positioning by drifting forward, let the chest kind of fall into the arms. Keep the arms straight. We're not bending elbows. And then walk the hands back, drift the hip back, bring as much straightness as you can into that front leg. Try to keep the ball of that big toe on the mat. Let's once again frame that front foot, stepping the right hand over right foot. And then come off the back knee, step that right foot back. So you're now in plank pose. Just give me a hover low and then push back up. And then do that 2 more times. Nice and slow. First one done loses. And then pull your hips up and back to down dog. Let's take that left leg, lift it into the air. Hips square, shoulders square. Make a concerted effort to give me as much lift while avoiding the rotation or external or opening of the hip. Let's frame that foot by stepping it up and in between the hands. You could take a couple steps or 3, whatever it takes to kind of get there. So the knee's bent. We're going to lower that, the front knee's bent. Now we're going to lower and bend that right knee. If we bring it upon the earth or our mat, let's let the left hand step inside that left foot. And then we're going to shift that left knee forward. And while we work to keep the knee shifting forward, extend the spine, pull the head, and then drift the hips backwards. Keeping the ball of that left foot connected to the earth. And then drift forward. Keep that spine extending as you inhale. And as you exhale, drift it back. And then bring it back forward. Find a neutral position where you can step that left hand back and then come off the right knee, step the left foot back into plank, hover it low and hover it high. What goes down must come up. Slowly down, slowly up. One more time down. One more time up, pull up and back to down dog, and step both feet forward. Nice. Inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, unfold. Sweep the hands to the sky. Exhale, relax the arms. Pull the shoulders straight up towards the ears. Keep the shoulders elevating. Bring the hands up shoulder height. Rotate the thumbs towards the earth. Pull the butt back. Now, as we pull back, I'd like you to kind of keep the legs straight. And as we talked earlier, try to give me as much weight bearing back into the heel of the foot. And as you do that, let's find some upper kinetic strength. So these are the chains that run parallel to the spine. Let's grow them tall. And as you do that, if you feel compression in the low back, I'd like you to engage a little more in the front. Get that six-pack muscle nice and active. While we keep the spine and neck long, rotate towards the right. Notice the rotation, not through the arms, but through the shoulder carriage. And if the hips are doing something funky, they shouldn't be. Come back center, practice the opposite way. So we're keeping stable through the hips, stable through the legs, and rotating through the spinal column, and getting those small little muscles of the spine, the rotators and the epiphysis all warmed up. I had to throw that in because I know it really irks Kirsten.
My arms are killing me.
Arms are killing me. Oh, now come back center. Palms turn the face, lower them all the way back down. Draw the arms all the way long. Now take your chest, make it proud. Nice. All the while I'm doing this, I'm making a concerted effort to pull the belly button into the spine. And that pull is more than just six pack. That's your transverse abdominis.
Oh, good to know.
Good to know. Yeah. TVA. Now keep the TVA active. Bring the hands forward. Rotate the thumbs down to face the earth. Rotate right. Rotate center and then left. And then come back center. And take a big inhale and try to raise the baby fingers to the sky. And on the exhale, fold it down. Oh, Kirsten's going, thank you. My shoulders were just killing me. Now step your feet wide, wide, wide. I'm not doing splits, but if you can kind of take your feet about a foot past the hip on either side. And I'm using my hands for stabilization. If the flexion in the hip is too much for you, we can always put palms on shin. Most importantly here, I'd like you to try to find the extensors of the back, nice and active. And then we're going to play that little drifting game where we drift forward. What's it feel like in the foot now? Lots of pressure in the front of it. The ball of the big toe probably highly pressured. Now drift back the hips, changing where that pressure is felt, more in the heel now. And then find the balance between the two. And when you have the balance, extend the spine as you inhale. I'm on fingertips. You can have palms upon the earth if you want, if there's higher level of flexibility through your hips than I have. Now, keep the left hand on your earth. Keep the balance in the feet. Take the right arm right out beside the body. And then take your right shoulder and lift it towards the sky. Let just the arm follow. So try not to lead with that arm. The shoulders can exhibit a lot of rotation. This right now should be working in your inner thighs and along that spinal column. Let's lower down. You should also feel the obliques and that side body muscle, nice and active. Got all that going on. You're kind of performing the exercise really well. Lift the shoulder a little higher. And then switch. We're going to increase the rate of movement here, raising and lower, and raise opposite side and lower. And you get the gist. Keep going. And then when you're ready, let's everyone meet when the hands down position. And now we're going to change the exercise or the angle of the exercise by drifting the hips backwards. That tension that you feel in the back of the leg, hamstrings, up and maybe perhaps into the low back is all good. Let's try to find length. Let's decompress the spinal column by growing it. And then keep the weight in the heel, like mostly in the heel. So get it far back so it feels like, oh my goodness, I'm going to fall backwards. But don't do that, of course. Now, while you keep the weight bearing back there, same exercise, left hand reaches sky, right hand reaches sky, and I'm really meaning hand, meaning shoulder, and keep the rotation going with the weight bearing in the heel. You should feel a little bit different of a pull over the hips, those muscles that are kind of on the inner side, getting a little bit different work. And then when you're ready, everyone hands down, step your feet in. Keep them about hip width apart. As you inhale, extend. As you exhale, bend both knees. Step the palms onto the shins. Make your chest proud, grow the spine. Keep the hips down, unhinge through the hips. Release the arms or palms, let them sweep backwards. Take a big inhale. On the exhale, sweep to the sky. As you inhale, stand tall. Oh. And as you exhale, fold all the way down. Let's turn our body position so we are favorable to stepping back and staying on the mat. Now, let's take the knees. Now I'm going to step my hands slightly forward of the shoulders, and then I'm going to push my chest down towards the earth. And I'm going to make sure my head isn't falling off the body. So take the back of the head, lift it to the sky, take your belly button, pull it up and into the spine. Float the knees, so bend them, float them above the mat, draw the hips backwards. So keep those knees floating, come back forward, back to plank, keep up on the tippy toes, float the knees, pull the hips all the way back, as far back as you can, and then come back forward to plank. Float the knees, pull the hips. Beautiful. Now slowly lower the hips to the earth. Pull your hips as far back as you can, and walk the hands forward. Get that nice opening. Across the chest and those smaller muscles that interact with the shoulders. Shift to the right. Come back center. Shift opposite side. And go between the 2 points slowly. And then everyone meet in center. Walk the hands back. Come up onto a kneeling spot. I'm going to move forward. Now, some people require cushioning for your knees. If you need a towel, please grab it now, because we're going to be on our knees for a little bit. Let's take the ball of each big foot. Big foot. That's the mythical creature, the ball of each big toe, and step them together with your heels. Draw your shoulders up, open the palms to face forward. Take the hands, sweep them backwards. Nice. Big inhale, bring the hands all the way up, salute. Now use the fingers and pull everything nice and long. Now, if you're compressing through the neck, just relax. This is not really a neck exercise. This is kind of shoulder. I know it's kind of hard because a lot of times things get jumbled together relative to muscle messaging. Take the baby fingers, rotate them in the face. Do the same things with the thumb, and then spiral the thumbs all the way around. Lower the arms. Flip the palms to face the sky. Let the arms lower down towards the side of the body. And then sweep the arms backwards. Nice. Make the chest proud, grow the neck. Pull the shoulders up to the ears, sweep the arms back just a tad more. Sweep forward with the arms, sweep to the sky. Baby fingers rotate into touch or turn into each other. Same thing with the thumbs, spiral them all the way through. Lower the hands down, palms facing earth. Baby fingers pull back. Fingers pull arms long. Pull back a little more with those baby fingers if you can. Lower the arms, relax. Nice, shake it out. Let's come down onto our backside. Oh. I'm grabbing a glass of some water.
Cheers.
Cheers, Sunday morning, cheers.
Here's the stretch.
It's hot and humid here today. So of course, with heat and humidity, my body thinks it's probably a good time to leak a little bit. All right, let's bring the feet wider than hip width apart. This time we're going to bring flexion into the feet. So we're going to be riding on the heels. And then if you've got this thing going on, we've got this interior rotation of the spinal column, C curving as it's also known. We're going to grow the spine. And as you grow, that pelvic girdle can kind of roll backwards, and you might even feel like a little bit of tissue kind of get forced out of the way. That's because you're rolling onto your sit bones. Now keep the spine nice and long. Take the right hand, release it off. The palm can be anywhere. Now take the right hand back on. Same thing with the left side. And then switch. This time extend the arm out. And then sweep that right arm to the sky. And then bring the palm, by bending the elbow, just bring it back onto the knee. Left hand extends out and left arm reaches to the sky. And then return it back to the knee. Nice. Now, right hand reaches out, palms facing the center line, sweep it all the way up, and then lower the arm, lower it, shoulder height, palm facing sky. Take that right thumb and then drift, use it to kind of like physically pull the arm backwards. So we're just kind of isolating those rotator muscles. Come back with that right hand on the right knee. Take the left hand, push it forward, palm facing the center line as we sweep up. Then lowering down, shoulder height. Fingers are pulling that arm long, right? Just checking. Now pull that thumb backwards. And then let's bring both hands over hearts. Now we got those muscles in our belly fired up. You feel them working? Those are your hip flexors and a bit of your six-pack muscle. We're going to C curve the spine. So we're going to kind of roll over the tailbone and then slowly lower each and every vertebrae of your spine down onto the mat. Oh, and extend the legs all the way out. Now, just take a look down at your feet. If the toes are aiming directly up at the sky and you're kind of consciously doing that, then what I'm about to say probably won't matter much. But if you look down and your feet were splayed out, that's because those external rotators are short. So we're going to work on improving our internal rotation. And this is what Kirsten calls Sean's exercise. Now we're going to take each heel and step it in just a few inches, like an inch or two, just enough to put a bend in the knee, a slight bend. We're going to take your belly button. I'm going to hollow out the tummy. And if you feel the sensation of touch in the low back, you should kind of feel that more engaged or more along the mat when you hollowed out. Did you get it? Good. Now, keep that touch active. Take both feet, flex them. This is dorsiflexion. I'm going to take the thighs and rotate them into touch. This is, by the way, doing two things. It's activating the activating the internal rotators of the legs and lengthening out the external rotators of the legs. Those are the muscles we're stretching as we activate and shorten those smaller or sometimes less used muscles, when we sit. Those legs of ours like to open up, knees splay open. We're keeping an effort now to squeeze the thighs. Squeeze them harder, and then relax. Keep the bend in the knees and just kind of pivot on the heels and then open the legs. So we're just pivoting open. This probably feels good, but this is kind of like normal because we just get to feel that way when we sit like this for long periods of time. Now, here we go again. Pivot on the heels, rotate the big toes and the thighs in towards each other, kind of like a little party, a little get together. Now, squeeze the thighs and then take your belly button and hollow it out. Try to get that sensation of touch of that low back, as much of it as you can. Some people go, oh, I can't feel anything. That's fine. It's not even the fact about we're feeling it. You may get that, but it's more about the activation. Keep the activation real, but squeeze the legs even more. Let's let the arms fall beside the body. Let's walk them in so that they run parallel with the side bodies. Cup the fingers so fingertips and thumbs touch. Now, that proud chest thing, give me some of that. Give me some of that with a hollowed out belly. Take the back of the head and just use that as a pivot and roll from side to side with the head. Just make sure that there's no tension in those neck muscles. And then let the head fall wherever it may. Push the fingertips and thumb tips into the mat. Squeeze those thighs a little more. And then try to elevate your little tailbone up off the mat. And then lower it back down, extend the legs all the way out. Keeping the feet about hip width apart. Rotate the big toes into touch, and then rotate the feet so that they're spiraling away from the midline of the body. And then come back together. Step both heels back in. Flex the feet. Rotate, and I said step it in, I mean just a couple of inches, right? Rotate the thighs and big toes to touch. Squeeze those thighs. Give me a good one. Good squeeze. Keep that. Hold on to it as long as you can. Hollow out the tummy. See if you can get that touch of the low back. Let the arms fall beside the body. Cup the fingers. Proud the chest. Push the fingertips into the earth. Keep that chest proud. Keep the tension out of the neck. You can move it side to side if you need to, just as a reminder to relax those muscles. Now, push the heels into the earth. Try to lift that tailbone up off the earth. Give me as much activation as you can, but reduce any pressure above the shoulders. This is not that exercise. This is about the lower chain muscles of the hips. Pushing, working, activating. And then relax it back down, step it back out. Take the hands up over your chest, separate the fingers nice and wide. Pilates style sit up, here we go. Drop the chin into your chest, peel each and every vertebrae, one at a time, up and in. Dive the fingers down towards the heels and let them dive through them if you can. That's what your goal is. Big curve in the spine, nice release. All of those muscle chains that run parallel to the spine, down and into the base where the pelvis is, getting a nice release. Let it just sink. And then let's start by taking that tailbone and try to roll it back down onto the mat. Let the arms kind of drift back. There's a big C curve. We're descending back into our supine, our lying position. Let the arms kind of aim down towards the heels as we lower down one at a time. And then bring the hands all the way up and over and lengthen all the way up Toes pull in one direction, fingers pull in the opposite. Take a big inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to do this one more time. Hands sweep up over chest, chin drops into it. One. Strong, powerful activation through that front chain of muscle, diving the fingers. See if you can extend out just ever so slightly more. Let that spine C curve. Let the head fall. And then walk the hands back in as we bring straightness back to the spinal column. We're coming into a staff pose. Let's take the feet and keep them about hip width apart. If they aren't, just step them out there. Now, row. Like imagine on the sternum, you've got a little string that's not pulling out, it's actually pulling up towards the sky. It's kind of like locked in from the bottom. Draw the shoulders up to the ears. Take the palms and then bend the elbows. So palms face the sky. Pull, pull, pull the elbows backwards. Now, take your elbows, squeeze them together. Now, take the thumbs with the palms facing the sky still, and take the thumbs and try to rotate the hands awake. So the elbows have a bend in them. Come back together and then lower down. Step your feet in, bring them flat onto your mat, grab over both kneecap. Beautiful. Now take your chest, make it proud, and then C curve the spine. Come all the way down. And then let the feet lift off of the earth and then slowly lower down, all the way down. And then extend the legs straight up into the air. So the heels are pushing high to the sky. Try to push the heels higher to the sky. So this exercise is really some six-pack muscle, believe it or not. And how we're going to activate it is we're going to try to push the heels high to the sky, but we're going to try to take the tailbone, that little tailbone of yours, and lift it off the mat by kind of like compressing, if you will, but it's more of us activating that big six-pack muscle. And then let the tailbone roll back down. Draw the knees up and into the chest. Today, let's grab behind the knees. And as we pull in, open wide. Make sure those shoulders are separating from the spine. They're kind of pulling away from the spine. And then try to pull in just a little more. And then relax the hands, grip, and extend the legs back up into the air. Push the heels high to the sky. Keep any form of compression off the neck. It's just about muscle activation in the belly, activating that six-pack a little more, hollowing it out as you create that energy within it. Then lower the tailbone back down, bend the knees, grab behind the legs, pull both knees in towards the chest, separate them wide, and then let the knees kind of circle down. And the farthest down position that you can achieve with the arms still holding, bring them back together, pull them back up and in together, bring the forehead up to meet the knees, relax the upper body, open the knees nice and wide, circle them down, bring them together, up and in, forehead comes to join the party, and then rock and roll front to back, all the way up to an almost seated position. So your feet are floating. Got the float? Nice. Now make the chest nice and proud. Use the arms, help to facilitate that length for the spine. Proud, proud, proud chest. Neck, spine long. Let the feet return back down onto the mats. Separate them about hip width apart. There's a big bend in the knees. We're going to walk the hands forward. And let the spine go into C, curving or flexion. Take the ball of each big foot, try to rotate it down so we have that nice lengthening across the front of the foot. As you inhale, extend the spine. Walk the hands back in. Let's bring the legs to cross, whatever preferred method you like. Sometimes they don't cross. It's not about getting them to be cross. We don't want to get cross getting crossed. So find your spot, take a big inhale and lengthen. And as you exhale, let's uncross them and switch it up. Get that nice release off those hip sockets, the small muscles. Some of them are gluteals, small gluteals. Need a tiny tush. All right. Let's extend the legs back out straight. Separate them wider than the hips. Grow that spine nice and long. Pull the shoulders up to the ears. Rotate them backwards. Pull with the elbows. Bring hands over heart. Keep that muscle activation across the shoulders nice and active. Done. And let me thank you for your great participation today. Thank you for joining. Namaste.
Namaste. High five, honey.
High five.
Hello,
Hello.
Hello.
how are ya?
Ow. Hello.
Hello.
How is everybody?
How are you, Sue?
Susan, are you better?
A little bit better. A little bit better. Yeah. It's a weird feeling, like because I have COVID or have COVID this week, but not a lot of coughing, not a lot of congestion, no fever, just kind of heavy. But today was good, so thank you for that.
That's good. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been talking to myself now for like 7, 8, 9 days. I don't know how long I've been.
I always tell people that talk to themselves, it's not bad that you do that. It's when you start answering yourself back, Houston, we
That
have a
too.
problem.
That too.
So what's up for the weekend for everybody? Yeah.
I'm shelling lobster.
Selling
Oh,
lobster. I'm going to
nice.
Ann's for dinner.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah, nice. How about
I'm traveling this week, so I have a lot to pack.
Val's packing? That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Like that's planning stuff.
Where are you going?
Well, I'm going to Argentina, but I have 3 other groups. I do global travel for Georgetown, so I have 3 other groups departing the same day I do. So they're going to Bologna, Singapore, Sao Paulo, and I'm going to Buenos Aires.
Nice.
But I'm behind of them all, so it's not wow, I'm going to Buenos Aires. It's I have to work 3 other sections while I'm working mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a wow.
The fun never
Yeah.
ends.
Well, it's better than in March I had 11, so 4 is a bliss.
I would think it would be a little more
Yeah.
manageable than 11.
Yeah. And then while we do yoga, I come up with these ideas of what I need Kirsten's to help me with. So she tells us, relax. I don't think anything about it, for the day. And I'm like, Kirsten, I need towels. So, but it was a last minute thought, Kirsten, I swear.
Well, thank you. That's nice.
Yes.
How about Mark? What's Mark up to?
SOS.
SOS.
How are you? How are your kids?
They're well. Garrett's still at work.
Yep.
Yeah. And Bryn's hard at work.
Yeah.
So right now, the big part of their crop, is growth. They had some issues earlier with frost. They had to do a lot of retrim a lot of their plants because a lot of them got killed because of the frost, like the grape growth.
Mhm.
And then they trimmed back a lot more than they typically did. And they've got some new growth going on so they can salvage some of the year.
No.
They're super busy with all that right now. And
They
yeah.
met with a Miami wine distributor. Miami wine distributor flew there to their vineyard to meet them.
Wonderful.
Yeah, taste their wine and they loved it. So they just have to be able to produce enough because they have
Enough.
no trouble selling what they make.
Really?
So
Good
it's
for
pretty
them.
cool.
Do they have anyone else helping them?
They have friends come out during harvest.
But do they have someone who works there that helps?
No,
them?
they do it all.
They basically go farm to bottle themselves, and they have a little troop of friends and really nice friends because they literally go out and they don't really help a lot with some of the other earlier season stuff like the trimming and pruning and all that stuff. But harvest time, like you have a certain window to get grapes off of vines before they're not good anymore. And they have literally like friends from all over the country show up.
So why aren't you going out there
Well, we have.
We have done it.
to help?
Yeah, we've done it, but like you have to get up at 5 a.m. and then you're at the, picking spot, until about 11 or 12. Then you come back to the vineyard and you unload everything.
That's a lot of work.
You press, it's just like, I'm too old for this shit.
It's so funny because I grew up farming. My parents didn't own a farm, but that's what my summer job was. So
You're recording.
Oh, yeah.